Hello and welcome, I'm Thomas from Balancing Touch Reflexology. So good to see you and thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to go and look at all the points that are involved in the skeletal system on the foot. There's a lot of points that we're going to cover related to the skeletal system. So this is probably a two-part video. So keep an eye out for part two. So yeah, let's jump in and I'll show you how I work the skeletal system on the feet. Okay, so looking at all the points that have to do with the skeletal system. Okay, so one of the major ones is we're looking at structure and movement of the foot, right, in most parts. So doing a lot of the desserts are going to be a good way to tackle all of the major movements in the skeletal system as it relates to the foot, right? But there are some points that are directly related to and that we work for just the skeletal system, okay? The whole skeletal system follows the entire foot, right? So we're not talking about the actual bones of the foot, but we are also talking about the actual bones of the foot where the movement is, right? So we're going to work on some parts that are directly related to the actual points. So the first one, so as I said, the desserts are a major one to work, right? So don't think them as just warm up or things like that, because they do a lot more than just warm up the feet. They move the entire structure of the whole foot, which is moving the mini skeletal system on the feet, right? So things like this, where you're moving back and forth, are going to be really great. Moving your hands back and forth like this, sort of like a, if you were to make clay snakes, is a really good one to work. Back, forward, around, things like that, right? One that's really good is actually isolating the heel bone. So you hold your hand up top like this, so that this hand doesn't move, it's just holding the foot. And what you do is you try and isolate by rotating just the heel bone, the calcaneus, right? So just moving one way and then you can move the other way. And see if you can isolate and just rock the heel bone back and forth. That's going to be really great for anybody who has lower back issues and things like that. Of course, you want to come over and do the same stuff that you did on the other foot. So again, holding really tight with the top and just rotating and seeing if you can actually isolate and move the heel bone around. Okay? And just making sure that. So the desserts are really great to work. So next one we're going to get into is the actual neck, right? So on the spine here, we have the cervical spine. So it starts at the nose here, which is that little sticky outy part, which you'll find right across from the nail bed. Okay? That is related to the top of the spine. Okay, your nose, because if you go right from your nose and you go to the back of your head, you will get the top of the cervical spine, right? And then that goes down to the seventh C7, and that's a little sticky outy part on your neck. If you bend your neck forward, you'll see that part, and that's related to this. So you can just work that area by going up this way with your thumb, right? You can work it across this way. So really the technique doesn't matter too much, but the area does. Something that I really like doing is with my left hand here, I'm working on her left foot. I'm going to clamp again, make sure that this doesn't move, and then I'm going to come with some sort of like a tripod, I'll call it, 3 fingers, and I'll just rotate the whole neck area. And what this is doing is it's loosening up the whole big toe joint area. And as I'm doing this as well, I'm sort of pulling up slightly, okay? You don't want to yank the toe up, but just slightly up movement, and then you can push a little bit down movement. Kind of like if you're grinding spices, right? So I have a good grip on here from all, And I want to grab, so I'm not grabbing with my fingertips and digging my nails in. I'm trying to grab with as much of the pad of my fingers as possible. And then around this way. So this is a good way to work the neck reflexes there. Okay, so I'll just come over here and work really quickly. Okay, again, nose and where a bunion would be, right? Down to there, that's related to the cervical spine. And then we'll give a nice little twirl there. And you can always pay attention to how the right and the left are feeling, right? So on her foot, I was feeling the left is a bit more crunchy. So that could indicate some skeletal issues with her neck on the left side. Then we come down to the teeth and jaw. Okay, so the teeth and jaw are found on the back sides here of the toes, and also including the big toe here. There's a couple different ways to work it. I like to use this little method where I start from below the nail bed and work all the way down the backs of the toes. So I'll do probably a couple lines there because it's a bit thicker at this one. With this one, it's harder to work more lines. When I'm working, it looks like the pressure is on both, which it is, but at the same time, it's sort of more focused on my index finger. At least this is what I'm doing. The thumb acts as a nice backing board to work against, and you just keep going down all the toes. And just do as many lines down as is needed to cover. So you want to make sure that you cover, not just this little surface, and then wrap around the edge a little bit, and that, just to cover it really well. Another way to work it is you can come across this way. This is a little bit more difficult because of the toe will rotate and stuff, but you want to walk the index finger below the nail, and then the next one below the next joint, and you can kind of work in this way. Okay, so this is just the same thing, just a different attack on it. Okay, and then you can come over to this foot and do the same thing. I won't do a thorough job, I'm just want to show you how I work the teeth and jaw. I'll just do a really quick one here. Shoulders is the next one. Shoulders are found right along here. Okay. And you can work across this way with one thumb. You can come across the other way with the other thumb. Or you can do dot to dot. Okay. So that's the area you want to work. It's the top of the ball of the foot. It doesn't really matter how you work it, just as long as whatever you're doing feels good. I do also like to come from the top and push down. This really gets deeper into the neck muscles. This is more related to the eyes and ears, but it is related to the shoulders, all the muscles that, that you get tension headaches from your eyes or things like that. This one really works well. So this is just a way to work the shoulders as a third sort of option for you. So that's the shoulders there. We're going to come over to the other side now, and the back muscles are found here. Okay, so below the webbing of the toe there, all the way down, and they're found in between the bones. So I like to walk down one side. So it's kind of like a valley, right? So where the bones are here, right? So my fingers are representing the bones. You want to work into and against the bones. So it works it really well. So I'll show you how I do that. I put my fingers like this, and then I put a slight angle on them like that, and I work down like this. So I feel in here, and I push right in nicely. And then I go down to where I feel the bones come together, right? And then I go on the other side. Okay, so one side works one side, and this works the other toe. So I'll come to the next valley here, and I'll work into the valley and down that way. Okay, I'll just come over to the other foot so it feels balanced. And to work this really well, you want to do everything that I'm sort of showing you. You want to do it 3 times. Okay, so that would be once that I did. And then you go back. There's twice, and then there's 3 times. So you can choose to do 3, 3, 3, right? Or you can do 1, 2, 3. It doesn't matter. You can just work that way. But you can work the whole back muscles here like this. This is also really good for any type of breathing problems, bronchioles, anything like that. You can do these little circular desserts that I'm doing right now. This feels really nice to work if you put oil on at the end, and you can just work that way. So that is the back muscle area. This next one is a really great one to help with anybody who's had any type of whiplash injury. And a lot of us in our lives, even though we maybe have not been in a car accident, have been, pushed or bumped where our neck does that, forward back movement. And so what I'm doing here is I'm putting my finger pads right into the middle of that valley. So the one that I talked about. So right in between the bones. You're going straight down the center now. And what you're doing is you're clamping down, and then you are moving the muscle between each of the bones, the muscles right like that. And so the pressure is also on the thumb, more of a supportive pressure, but you're clamping down and then you're moving. Okay, so then you move over to the next valley. So between the second and third toe, and then move to the next valley. Okay, move to the next valley. Okay, and if I come over to the other side, that's what it looks like there. So again, with this one, it looks like I'm just rubbing with my fingers like this, but I'm not. I'm actually holding down, then moving, releasing, moving, clamping down and pushing in. So for some people this can be really sensitive as well. So that's a really good one for whiplash, but it is working the back muscles. If we come over to the front now, there's a whole area here which is the sternum in reflexology. So it's the whole ball of this big foot, and it gives a nice little distinction by in between the big toe and the second toe here. There's a line that goes all the way around this way. This meets the bottom of the diaphragm line, right? So there's the diaphragm line, and then zone 1. And this is the sternum area. There's no real specific direction that it needs to go in, so you can just do sort of dot to dot here. You can use your fingers, and I would go all the way around and work the entire joint on both sides of the foot. Okay. And you're just loosening up any tight areas that you find in there. Okay, let's come over to the other side, just do a really quick one. So for me, it's comfortable to use my thumbs on the plantar surface and my fingers on the medial and top of the foot, dorsal. Now, the shoulders come along like this, and then there's a nice little joint here. So what we're going to do is mirror what we just did on the sternum area over on the shoulder joint area. Okay, and again, it's on the plantar surface, the side, and which is now the lateral side of the foot, and then over on the dorsal part here. Work this area really well. I feel a lot of little crunchies and stuff that happen in the shoulder joint area. Okay, so you can really, so what I'm doing in this technique is I'm pushing down and I'm using my fingers to kind of hold a nice stable, and then I'm using my fingers on the other hand to hold it even more stable. And what I'm doing is keeping my wrist straight, and I'm bringing my elbow in and pushing. So it's kind of like you're digging in like this. Okay, so this kind of a action, and you can get quite deep by doing this. Another thing that I'm doing is I'm focusing right on the corner of my bone inside my thumb. Okay, so that's what I'm focused on, is right in there. Not on my nail, but right in there. That's sort of a good technique there. And then work with my fingers on the other side, and you can give a nice little rocking motion like this, so just clamping down and then isolating the pinky toe area. Okay, I'll come over to the other side. Again, I really like this technique where you're sort of crunching in and moving around. Make sure that you work the sides and the back as well. Or the top of the foot. Right? And then you can give a nice little isolation. So when I'm isolating it, my right hand here, we're working on her right foot. Right hand is trying to hold zone 1, 2, 3, and 4, so it doesn't move, and then I'm clamping with all my fingers and my thumb on zone 5, and then trying to isolate that. And you can see that it moves quite nicely. So with the skeletal system, it's really good to have as much sort of movement and adding in these kind of desserts on top of the actual points and areas. Right, so there you go there. So that's the shoulder joint. So we'll stop right there and look out for part 2 coming up soon, where we cover the rest of the points that are related to the skeletal system. So thanks for watching today, and see you in the next video. If you're interested in learning more about reflexology, you could subscribe to the channel below. It's also very helpful to hit that like button, and feel free to share it with anybody who you think might be interested in it. You can find my online courses, Reflexology Charts, and other reflexology goodies over on my website, which is balancingtouch.ca. Thank you so much for watching today, and if you have some more time, you can check out some other videos. Till next time, this is Adam Thomas from balancingtouch.ca. See you later.